So they'll be calling you a radical. Is it spring? Whoa, it feels like it. Talk about a January thaw. Oh, wings, we will pretend. This is a real historic and important video. Really historic and important video because it's whale watching season. And the whale watching counters, the harp players, the feel good fairy tellers, well, they're out in Maui. The double counting, the triple count. To stand on the banks, which I do, I love doing it. Don't get me wrong, I've been doing it my whole life. To stand on the banks of the Mighty Blue Lady and count whales is a beautiful experience. Oh, wings, we will pretend. So, but it's an absolute horrid way to count whales. It's pathetic, actually, in this day and age. And by the way, NOAA does count whales. They have the counts. And this is NOAA coming out now after the fact. Now, this biologist finally said lack of food. It's like Fukushima calling it crippled. Don't say the word they won't say the fucking word starvation. Now, before I talk about the whale collapse and this epic nightmare, the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history, first off, it's, oh my God. Oh, wings, we will pretend. That's all we hear all day, every day here. The war pig industrial fucking looter machine. Sound afraid of? No. Sound of military industrialized complex looter. Saddam Hussein had weapons? No, he didn't. They knew full well he didn't. You know, the gift that keeps on giving, 9/11, downsizing the military. So before, it's Bear River Massacre Day. Right here, right now. I usually go every year, but I got my grandson's soccer tournament. So my priorities, but as this Shoshone, most of the Shoshone that I grew up with call themselves Shoshone. And they call me So-So Goya. They've always called me So-So Goya. To walk. They know I walk the coast of California. Friends with a lot of them. And I always tell him all the time when I go up there because he smudges. I'm like, you gonna smooch me? He laughs. Look, it's the Blanche, the dude who calls us Smoochy. It's smudging. I know, but, you know, but it's like the word Utah. Top of the mountain, the Ute word? Nope. It's slang. Idaho, racing down the sunlight? No. It's like my grandkids, all the kids around here. Everybody says, you know, Ben Lomond Peak. They don't call it Ben Lomond Peak. All the kids call that Paramount Picture logo. All the kids call it that, the Mighty Ben Lomond. So the Mighty Wasatch. The natives, the Shoshone, called these the children. Greenwashing bus in full flight. So before I talk about the whales, historic because, and Diablo Canyon, I'll be at Diablo Canyon on February 7th. Blue Hearts on Valentine's Day is back. I used to call it Blue Hearts on Valentine's. I do it there every year. Long before I knew, because the Chumash were missing on the Diablo Canyon fight for years. They came back, and he told me, the Chumash elder, oh boy, it's like clockwork. So the Chumash elder told me how beautiful. Oh my God, how beautiful. Oh, wings, we will pretend. Wings versus wings. He says, Kevin, you know what we called it? And I says, what? And he said, the mother's heart. I says, God, I had no idea. The Spaniards, I knew that the Spaniards named it Diablo Canyon because of the tsunami and earthquake. So before I talk about this, it's important. We do a prayer. And when I was a kid, they called it a battle. I'm like, I learned. My mom was a teacher at the Intermountain Indian School. Indian. Wouldn't you love that slang? They still call it that, the slur. What a slur. My mom worked. They were Navajo for the most part, but there was a lot. There were descendants. There were actually people that survived. That's children here in Ogden that I went to school with, you know, and grandchildren. So they called it a battle. I'm like, fucking battle. 500, mostly women and children, as they slept in 30 below zero. That's not a fucking battle. That's a massacre. They changed the name to massacre. They got us. And, you know, I asked, Sean Reyes up there, I had a very cordial conversation with him about, of course, the SMRs supposed to be being tested in Idaho, not being tested in Idaho. A lie. Those are historic videos, important. Good Lord, this phone rings off the hook. So, and 99% of the time it's blah, 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 it's radio goo goo gaga. So, it's a historic, important event. You know, I go up there all the time. Ever since I was a little boy, I knew the story. 500. And I'll go with old Patrick, the old Marine who I was friends with, did all the work all the years from Pocatello. Chief Pocatello. He says his number's 512. Utah State has done a lot of great work now. They have it at 490. Connors came from Fort Ord. Oh, stop. They came in. The Mormons did not do that. Now, that's important because Governor Cox shows up, so did and Governor Cox, this is what he's written ready to run for. Governor says, he stands up there and gives a speech. He's never been, nobody from the state of Utah's ever been there. Till then, it was historic. That day that Sean, that's why I thanked Sean Reyes for coming. I mean, it's a big deal that he showed up. I mean, there's one good check for him, Sean Reyes. And Governor Cox gets up, soon to be Governor Cox, Lieutenant Governor at the time, says, the reason we're here for the first time, this is Washington Territory. I have it on video. He just ran after. I said, Sean, I have it on video. I don't like to play I got you with politicians. I don't. I always give them a chance. Like Mike Lee, I briefed him before. This was never Utah Territory. Franklin, Idaho was Washington Territory. That's not what we were told. I thought you were a leader. But he's a puppet. Just like I asked him about the small nuclear reactors being tested in Idaho. He claimed he didn't know what they were. But yet, as soon as he becomes governor, he gets in bed with Governor Cox. Or Governor Cox gets in bed with who? Bill Gates to build nuclear reactors at... Come on, they're never building no nuclear. It's free pork. Have you ever seen such nuclear propaganda in your life that's out there right now? This makes Freud's nephew. Do you know about Freud's nephew? Who was the original propagandist who destroyed America? Yeah, he was born in Austria. Yeah, American parents. In Vienna. Whoa. I'm sure they don't claim him. Who taught Joseph Goebbels, who's now turned into Joseph Google. It'll go down in history as the nuclear energy propaganda that's gone post-Fukushima, especially in the last few years, is the greatest propaganda, lying, bullshit, and everybody's gone along machine in the history of man. They've spent billions to go after Kevin Blanchett. This is truly a David versus Goliath. So before we get into the wells, let's do a prayer. It's important that we do a prayer. And we do a moment of silence, you know, for the 500 women and children in Franklin, Idaho, on this day, 161 years ago, who were mass murdered. Kevin Blanch, the son of Margene and Dwayne Blanch, the grandson of Ella Potter Hunsaker and Abraham Hunsaker IV, the grandson of Leonard Blanch and Adelia Admira Tracy Blanch, the great-grandson of Moses Tracy, the great-grandson of the great Ike Potter, spoke all 5 tribe languages, great-grandson of Abraham Hunsaker I, the great-great-grandson of Inga Marie Mickelson. I do not support the genocide. When I was a boy, I was taught by the Navajo and the Shoshone. Anytime you ever speak, ever, it's all verbal. You make sure you talk about your parents, you talk about your grandparents, you talk about your great-grandparents. Every time. So, in honor of the 490, 512 women and children and the elderly were mass murdered what is now Franklin, Idaho, along the Bear River at 30 below zero, 161 years ago today. Okay, so let's talk about the whales. So it's important. It's a soup can. So don't tell me I don't have it. I don't think I do. Oh well. What do you got to flip? Oh, I know what I got. I got a backup. Don't even have my. What do I got here? Oh, by the way, I found 6 or 7 rubber ducks on the beach this time in PB in San Diego, and my great beach bag, my weird shape, I left it on the freaking train in Salt Lake. I was tired. Trains, planes, and automobiles. God's Symphony, my grandmother used to call it. Ella Potter Hunsaker. I caught her last living grandchild. Born and raised in Idaho. So the whales. So if this doesn't disturb you, finally she comes out. Now her dates are wrong, and I can prove their dates are wrong because Noah's numbers now mirror my numbers in 2017. Remember, I did the walk and we did the count in 2017. 312 whales washed up dead, grays, in 2017. The really epidemic of the whale collapse started in 2014. Now she says, and thank you. I mean, I'm really glad that she did this to verify Kevin Blanch's work. We from the sea, I fight for her, she fights for me. Kevin D, I got your back. She has my back, I have her back. As we drip into the sea eventually. So, if this doesn't alarm you, mystify you, bewilder, that's all bullshit. If this doesn't really violate you and have your hair on fire as a biologist and ecologist, as just a human being, 12,000 gray whales have died in the last 4 years. The birth rate has dropped off on gray whales, factually, 95%. So, yay, orcas right now, the tropical orcas are off Dana Point. Yesterday it was filmed trying to kill a full-grown mother gray, who's obviously, she's late. She's late to the birthing grounds. They can't make it. They're enumerated. They're starving to death. The word starvation, just like the nuclear reactors are not crippled. They're crippled like the towers on 9/11. By the way, I saw one of the 9/11 funders from Saudi Arabia was arrested in Saudi Arabia for fraud, stealing milk. I mean, you know what they do over there. Their brand of justice is a little bit different, you know. So, trying to eat a full grown, I mean, it's unheard of. These orcas are starving to death. They prefer seals, but they really prefer Chinook salmon. The eco chain has collapsed. So they're counting wells off Santa Barbara. It's well counting time. In Maui, you know, and they're coming out with these numbers. These numbers are ridiculous. Yeah, I can't even believe they print them out there because the overcounting, the double counting, it's impossible. You know, you count them when they breach, when they spew. You know, dozens of people. So, and we know that NOAA actually has sonar out there. They keep the numbers hidden. Of course, they keep them hidden. So, the NRC is holding their virtual meeting on the 1st, in a couple days for Diablo Camp, but their public hearing is the 8th. I'll be there. I'll be there. You know, I got to raise some money. You know, the activism I do, I mean, it's staggering over the years. I'll be with Mothers for Peace. They're always there. And I'm going to talk to the NRC. I'll record your conversation. I'm just going to record it like I did Sean Reyes. Because it needs to be said. Sean can say, I don't know. He'd say, well, what about this? Kevin Blanch told you. And he says, come brief me. And I did. Virtually. So he doesn't. Play back the tape, Your Honor. So I'm going to talk to them about NuScale. Number one, how can you approve NuScale's license, which is a fraud? There are no little SMRs. Somebody says, oh, I saw one. You're full of shit. You know, maybe one on a sub. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking a small nuclear reactor that can power a whole municipality. They're bullshit. They've been tried for 80 years. They're total lies. It's all pork. It's pork. It's pork. It's all little nuclear lies. I'm going to ask them, how can you approve it when the head of the NRC that approved it, didn't you guys work, people on this panel, at Idaho National Lab with the CEO of NuScale? Yes. Jose Reyes and her worked together. They approved it. That's beyond conflict. Where's Greenpeace? Where's Sierra Club suing them? You got Kevin Lax. Then I'll be standing in front of them with my sign. I'm going to have a sign made up that says, Lessons from Fukushima Unlearned. You know, how can you approve Diablo Canyon, something we don't use? California subsidies $4.4 million a day in taxpayer to Diablo. It's outdated, it's over. TikTok, what could go wrong? A nuclear reactor on the Ring of Fire, we got Senate up for shutdown. They announced Diablo Canyon. Gavin gets in because he has to bow to the nuclear energy, because that's all these politicians, they're ring kissers, they're nuclear energy bootlickers. Because we've seen, and then the propaganda machine that's out there, I've never seen anything like it. It will be written in history. You know about Freud's nephew, who was the great propagandist of the United States, who just lied about everything known to man. That dirtbag, scumbag, who learned from, I mean, Goebbels said himself, that's who I learned from. He lived here in the United States, did all the propaganda all the year. Joseph Google. It will be written in history that post Fukushima, the greatest ecological catastrophe in the area, and when they got you convinced that one at Chernobyl is more than three full core meltdowns, they never got near the cores, is bigger than one partial meltdown, 780,000 men in two. How's that possible? Because it's Orwellian. It's Orwellian on Balco. Orwell couldn't dream this up on a hit of acid and a bucket full of hallucinogenic mushrooms. You're all in. Nobody gives a shit about the environment. It's consume, obey, consume, obey. Yay, Taylor Swift gets to the Super Bowl. Oh, whoa. It'll be recorded in history, the greatest propaganda machine in human history. Bar none, with your own taxpayer money. Do you know about Bryce Anderson? Community Act? You know about the Department of Energy, which is really the Department of Atomic, which who? Jeff Bezos' grandfather, his mother, his 14-year-old mother gave birth at Los Alamos. Yeah, 14. To Jeff Bezos. His real last name's not Bezos. Geist was the original propagandist. It's called the Department of Atomic. Jennifer Graham Home and Rick Perry are going to make us sexy again. Left, right, they're all in, which I call the anti-porn. If that's sexy, like Kevin Blanch was, with no pigment in my eyes, bald, sucked up to nothing with central line hanging out, 190 pounds. That kind of sexy. Sick fuckers. It will be recorded in history as the greatest freaking David versus Goliath story, the greatest propaganda machine. They went after me and attacked me so viciously. They come out and admit it. And people can talk all the shit they want. Go ahead and talk your shit. I'm talking about in the early days of Fukushima, when it was going on in a public domain. I had the platform, which took a lot of work. I had 3 radio shows. I had millions of views using the word meltdown. And I've been told by people, Sands himself at the White House told me, Kevin, they watch every move you make. I mean, my own attorney says they're all over you. You know, I'm on the list. I've been told that I've been classified. Emails from the Army Corps of Engineers, I have them. Insiders saying, hey, look at this, you're classified. Kevin Blanch. Anybody that was using the word meltdown, they went after. They've admitted that. There was only one person in a public in those early days. Of course, people got on it later. Good for them, and I support all of you. You know, I was all over it. Every day, all day. My whole life, including right down to my own cancer, just the fact that I go into a bone plan at 11, you know, that Shoshone helped me out so much. You know, it would smudge me. because I support them. I really have traditional indigenous values. I was born here. I'm native. Right over there on 24th and Harrison. I mean, I'm native. I was born here. We're all native to Earth. We should care about her. We should love her. I mean, the mighty blue lady. When if this doesn't violate you, something is destroyed with you. Your mind is hypnotized. You got Trump and old man Biden, the two pro-nuclear twins. Me with a B. What happened to a B? I can't believe people have not all over this. She comes out and finally verifies Kevin Blanch's number. 12,000 gray whales have died. What big a part of that population is? That's a gigantic portion. This has been going on for a long time. She's talking last 40. What about the ones that went in 2015 when we count 312 washed up dead? My army did. And NOAA's using that number, by the way, my number now. So the whale catastrophe, when you have tropical orcas in SoCal trying to eat full grown gray whales, well, what about the pups when they come home? They don't have a chance. No pups are going to survive from the Laguna. That's the few that got there. Now, the ones that are giving birth in Monterey, which started in 2015, this ecological chain reaction tide pools, the evidence, I've proven the evidence. The Chinook salmon, first came the god of salmon. That's native culture. Well, how will I live? Then came god of water. You know, they used to call it a battle. The River Battle. Real fucking. The greatest mass murder in the old USA American history could be. Really could be. So, what a catastrophe. So, we're all natives. We should all have that wolf spirit. We should all fight for her, the ecology, mother, you know, this generational arrogance. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Religion, all that. I mean, come on, man. You've twisted everything upside down. I mean, why don't you start being connected with your environment? The birth of all living things. The mighty blue lady. I fight for her. She fights for we. Kevin D. Kevin Soso Goya. I grew up on that wetland on the Marsh Plain in the wigwams. I went to school with a lot of Native children. I did. I see Mike just dating. He's Navajo, a good friend. Me and him ran track together. Wakely. You know, I grew up with a lot of Native kids. A lot out there at West Weaver Elementary. A lot. Walkwest Junior High. You know, parents, family. Really grew up at the old Intermountain Indian School. They were so beautiful. Oh my God, that long, straight, beautiful hair. They were Navajo. I have a couch made there from the furniture factory there. Yeah, they were exploiting labor then, just like they are here now. I see they charged a guy up in Box Elder with human trafficking on a guy he had to trade with. Him. Well, what about that one next door to me? That one that backhanded the agriculture worker for asking me. I just looked up on the PP loan. I saw he got 181,000. How come there's been no charges on him? That guy's been freaking exploiting human trafficking, the hardcores in the state of Utah, him and his brother, for decades. Where's the charge there? They in your club somehow? I don't get it. You charge this guy in Box Elder County, you know, this guy next to me makes him look like a church mouse. Too big to freaking jail? Please. Please. To enslave another human being. So, I'll be at Diablo. I need to raise funds. I'll stay there in San Luis Obispo. You know, that public hearing is 7th or 8th. So I'll be there. I'll stand in front of the reactors like I have with Mothers for Peace. I haven't seen Jane or Linda for a while. They're the best, man. And TikTok, yeah. Why would you keep something we don't use? California's gone all solar because it's not about nuclear energy. It's about power, wielding it. It's about the waste, make it depleted uranium, make it bombs the unholy alliance between. It's about free pork and free money. These are not public utilities. They're owned by the usual. Look them up. Who's the usual suspect? Lord Bezos, Lord Gates, Lord Musk, Lord, the lords, and they're imperialist, good, dumb puppets. Obama dumber, Trump, old man Biden. They're identical freaking bootlickers. They can say whatever they want. We know they're both proven liars. None kept any campaign promises. So they're just ring-kissing bootlickers, nuclear energy bootlickers. So well, if when you read this number, and I'll post her article again, just verifying Kevin Blanch's, with 12,000 gray whales off the coast of California, Oregon, Washington, off the coast in the Pacific, this coast, starved to death in 4 years, which is way more number than that because I can prove that in 2017, 2015. I'm the first one to report it when I memorized at Monterey and the old biologists. They're giving birth here. I've been on this since the day Fukushima happened. You know, I'm not backing off, and they go after me. I mean, I get cancer 20. I've had my chest split open twice. I've had open heart surgery twice. Thank you, everybody, who supported this historic work. A few. I ain't gonna quit you. I ain't gonna quit you. I ain't gonna quit you. He said something bad about Orange Jesus, our loving Savior. We love Trumpy. He conned you. We love Obama. We love Obiden. We're sliding with Obidens. The Trumpets, yay! When fuck you been had by Operation Foxconn News, MSNBC. They're pathological fucking liars. And did either one of them mention the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history? Oh, bummer gummer. Trumpy. Fukushima. Remember, Trump met with Abiy 17 times, including, I was there at the White House. I went through the bus and I first went into Trump Towers. What do you think they're talking? Blocked out the window. What do you think they're talking about? They're all game. When I asked Trump from here to there, because I do the work, boots on the ground. So, hands up, no nukes. Hands up, no nukes. Hands up, no nukes. Throw your rubber ducky in at Fukushima, Japan. It'll be at Diablo Canyon. That was actually a good shot. Within 10 days. It'll be in San Diego within 12 or 13. TikTok, Diablo Canyon clock. Yay. Isn't it wonderful, honey? Don't you love it? Wait. Feel good fairy tale derelict fuck, which is not news. Yay, isn't it lovely? The orcas are swimming with the dolphins. Orcas are eating dolphins. Should never be eating dolphins. Eating great. Well, they're going to devour the pups. I mean, this is the greatest ecology. When these mammals disappear, I had a dream about a seal last night. First time I've dreamed about a seal in a long time. I had a dream. Remember last time I was at Diablo? And Joe, the famous photographer, you know, who would go out and photograph when the sea lions and the seals were all starving to death in 2014, 15. They'd go out to the islands, and Noah was only letting them put one orange tag on. And they wanted to put two. He went out there to do the pup count the next year on the islands off LA, and we only found one. We named it Blanche. He says, my sons have a poster of you hanging on their wall with your hands up. Hands up, no nukes. I had a big influence on a lot of people, you know, hopefully the youth. And everybody says, well, how come you're fighting for all these, you know, people that don't give a shit? Who said I was? I'm not. I'm not fighting for them. I'm fighting for them. The animals, the ecology, my grandchildren, your grandchildren, because I love my grandkids, you know, and I love all the children of the earth, and I love all inhabitants of Mother Earth. They've been here a long time, man. So, right up there. Well, it's going crazy. Must be important. Somebody must really have a lot to say today. We'll find out, hopefully. Stay tuned. TikTok, Diablo Canyon Clock.